Hello the world out there. You're highly welcome for this sharing the John Galt School. I presenting this lecture, I am Odong Arthur, and I highly give this privilege and appreciation to the Ayn Rand Center Europe in partnership with Action for Liberty and Economic Development, who through their generous efforts and collaboration are letting us have access to this beautiful and impactful discussion. For the purpose of this sharing today, I will be focusing on the subject or on the context of how we can use objectivism to help us achieve our life goals. As a matter of fact, we do realize that everything we try to pursue in life, we end up having this question of how do I end? Because the end largely justifies the means. So if the end does not actually make sense to anyone, it appears like the entire journey has been a walk of waste. So this sharing today and this entire school of the John Galt School has to make sense to each of us when we question and get back to the final agreement of how does this impact me and you in achieving our life goals. Because we do understand that the benefit of life and the success of living is having fulfillment and having that sense of understanding that you have contributed something. So a school like this comes with this impact and addition to let you get exposed to knowledge, and through that knowledge you get to this narrowing and agreement that you're achieving your life goals. Quickly, let's spread through some of the sharings that have been going through our lectures so that we can connect. Some of us may have been asking, why did I learn about such and such? Why did this and this be brought? But all this match together to settle down to you as an individual and create a benefit to making you achieve your life goals, because we believe if you achieve your goals as an individual, it reflects to the people near you, it goes broader to the society, and before you know, the world is benefiting. But through the paradigm of you alone, taking the action to change your life. Now quickly, let's get to, there was a large sharing about, objectivism and politics. And a lot of sharing came into the rights aspect. Now, I will concentrate on that aspect to help us connect the link between these rights and politics in the understanding of objectivism and how it settles down to helping us achieve our life goals. First and foremost, we do understand and we do settle for the fact that we live in a market system. Whatsoever we do in this world settles down to be judged by the market. Is it public speaking? Is it trading in goods and services? Whatsoever you do is either judged by the people next to you, and their judgment is either in terms of appreciation or a reward. And before you know, that context makes us behave and practice in a market structure. Mention anything that you know in this world. The churches, is it politics, is it whatsoever it is, all they have a reflection of either a following or clients or customers. And before you know, it defines the structure of a market. Now, the rights that come into this play, why objectivism makes it important through connecting the rights and politics and objectivism. We so understand that when you have a right, you have ownership over something. Let's say property rights. When you have a right over property, you own the property. Now when you own the property, the value that's attached to the property reflects to you as an individual, and it gives you a sense of value. Okay? And then let's get to this other aspect, because I made the context that we live in a market structure or a market system, whatsoever we do. Okay? Now let's get to the patent rights. A case in point is if I have made my shirt, and I put a mark on it, and I own that patent, okay? I have a right over it, meaning I can benefit more in that line. Now, what does objectivism and the rights here try to link in? The understanding comes that when you have a right over something, value is created in that sense of the right. And when value is created, value reconnects to shape your price. And your price is what you sell yourself at in the market. Let me give an example here. That a case in point is, let's get to a farmer in the context of our Ugandan market. A farmer who's growing a mango. First of all, the farmer does not have any right or patent over the mango. All they have is the raw connection. And then I come with a patent on a company and I buy this mango. Before you know, the value of the mango grows not because it has increased in size, but because me, who has a right or a patent of a company or a corporate entity, I have gained possession of the mango. Now, by so being, the mango's price increases simply because, one, it has a legally protected entity, that is I, a company, and then the mango itself. Before you know, the value merges and the price gets higher. Now, this is the understanding of objectivism. That one, when you live your life objectively, you get to understand that these rights reflect to help us so much. We really need to live in this aspect. Now, another understanding narrows down to capitalism and free markets. This comes to understanding. I understand our Ugandan market. We have this background of upbringing that makes us believe that, okay, capitalism has a lot to do with is an evil market system. But now let me bring this to the light. I made it clear in the sharing and hope we agree to that consensus that we live in a market structure. We live in a market system. Now, what capitalism avails is, of course, capitalism has this element of capitalizing on your comparative advantage. A case in point is, if I am a speaker, I capitalize on that ability that I am a good speaker, and that is what I capitalize on, and I exchange it for what someone has best. Okay? Now, when we come to the understanding of objectivism, it informs you that we are never equal in the market system. And since we are never equal, you ought to understand the uniqueness that you carry, you as an individual, and try to know your comparative advantage in the market. And by knowing so, you exchange it in aspect of value to the other. Now, why capitalism ceases to be evil in the context of objectivism, I want to concentrate and make this clear here. Most times we want to believe that there is exploitation, there is a deficit in exchange, and we want to associate those to being immoral. Please, I want us to clarify this as I'm trying to throw a light on how objectivism can help us achieve our life goals. With capitalism, I made it clear that trade is an exchange of value to value. The question of value matching each other is something that could be a debate on another day. But here is my analysis of how capitalism isn't an evil system, or this entire claim of deficits, that being cheated, does not really actually amount much to making the evils of capitalism. Now, here's the situation. I am a trader. I have my value. I already associated. Why I started with rights was the rights and the patents you have over anything you do increases the value of that product. I think I made that clear. Why it was important for us to cite out the rights in objectivism, because any right that you try to assume gains legal protection. When you gain legal protection over anything, it comes with an appreciation in value of self and the product that you own. Now, here is my analysis of capitalism. A case in point is, I am a businessman. I have a registered business that is legally protected. That is one. I have value. The value that has combined itself, one is the business that I have that I'm running, either service or selling goods. Two is the legal protection that I have backing me up. And then now here I come into a negotiation with a worker. Let me call this a casual worker. First and foremost, the casual worker isn't legally protected because literally you don't have academic documentation that really protects you to give you value. And here I am negotiating with you at a paradigm whereby I have a higher value than you have. And chances are high, I'll buy you cheaply. Okay, because one, you don't have any legal protection. In case of any misbehaving, I don't have any association I'll run to. Whether you are a medical doctor, in an association of medical doctors or what. Now, you don't have this value. Now, that value drops your price. And when your price drops in the marketplace, I'll buy you cheaply. And that will not be exploitation. That will be exchange of value. Now, this is what we're trying to elaborate here. That we should not be victims of lamentations. We should ought to play in the market system, understanding and knowing that we create value. That's why I started by saying objectivism is important in achieving our life goals. By understanding these rights and how do these rights reflect its it appreciates your value because you'll be legally protected, you'll have ownership, legal ownership that is protected by the law, and that comes with value. And your value shapes your negotiation power. Okay? Yeah, that's so much important. And then now, another thing how objectivism is so much important in helping us achieve our life goals is this. We so much believe that the end justifies the means. So if you know an end of something, it clearly informs how you get to the destination. As a matter of fact, is the farther you go, the earlier you begin, or the faster you move. Okay? And another aspect of life is the clearer you see is the faster you move, or the smarter you move. Now, objectivism comes with this beautiful thing that one, by you knowing the end goal of every pursuit in life, it informs your destination. And when you know your destination, you know the clarities of how to get there. Now, objectivism makes it clear that the end in everything that we pursue in life is happiness. So when we understand that everything we pursue has to end into happiness, it informs everything that we actually settle at doing. Is it business? Is it charity? Is it empowering people? At the end of it all, it has to settle to the happiness of you. Now, what does this help us to do? It helps us not to live at a sacrificial edge. Now, what do we mean by sacrificial edge? Sacrificial edge is trying to be, a person who lives to impress others. That's one, but at a loss. Okay? The sacrificial element is one that causes a deficit to you, but creates an appreciation to others. But at the end of it all, you'll be praised as a hero. Now, here's a narrative that I tried to shape in this line. A case in point is try to imagine there are two people, one a fully normal person and a fully able person. And two, another character is a disabled person. Okay? Now here comes, they set a mark. Like, there is money. And the money is at a distance. And they have to, rush for the grabs. Now, in such a scenario, two things may happen. One, the normal person, of course, has the comparative advantage to run faster and get the money before the lame person. And then there is another character B of the normal person who chooses to carry this lame person to go and get the money. Okay? Now, these are two scenarios. In our contemporary society, they are going to tell you that the one who carried the lame or the disabled person to go get hold of the fortune is a hero. That is what society will make us believe. But in capitalism and in objectivism, we believe, since your happiness is the enemy, okay, you getting hold of the money, because everyone will need the money. I use my comparative advantage because I'm, first of all, a fully functional being. I'm normal, so I go get it. If I really want the disabled person to get a token of, I can just give a share, but I have to use my comparative advantage to first satisfy myself. Okay? Now, this helps us because it informs us not to live by distractions. Okay? We live in a world and a society that has a lot of instructions. And when the instructions over-accumulate, chances are high some become distractions. And when they become distractions, they mislead us in life. So objectivism shapes us to live our lives objectively and focus on things that matter to you first. You only expand to things that matter to others after it has yet satisfied or matched to you. The only extent you reach in associating with others is when your association with them creates a trickle back, appreciation to yourself and a better mark. Then another thing with objectivism, I want to actually wrap this into our context of normal understanding. We so much understand the society in the social element, political element, and economic element. Now let me just merge objectivism to benefit our lives in these three sections. Economically, I made it clear objectivism tries to uphold free market capitalism, which I try to front how it all works. It appreciates competition. We believe competition does not come actually to complete you or to compel you. Competition comes actually to contribute to you because it steps up your game. Okay? And then socially, objectivism tries to advance us to have this element of individualism. Look at the individual self first. Society springs from the energies of the individual that correlates with others to create this bigger picture of a society. And then the other aspect of the social element is that satisfaction of happiness. Of course, now, happiness, I explained that, happiness is the end goal in whatever we do, and that can be expanded to fulfillment. And then the other element that I will try to dig deeper and how objectivism really helps with is selfishness. I want to concentrate on this because we live in a society that has tried to make this evil, has tried to purge selfishness as evil. Now, selfishness, as in relationship with objectivism, is this urgent need that you really want to win something over to yourself. Okay? Now, we have to judge the morality of this, of selfishness, because if we don't judge it, it will keep being questioned and it will look to be arrogant. Okay? Now, we have this structure in society that is largely influenced by, one, our political leadership, two, religion, and then three, we have our family structures. Now, in all these are all social or subjective institutions that want us to dissolve our individual self to fit into the larger cluster of society. But now selfishness comes in this way. Selfishness is that need for things to yourself. Okay? Now, how does this become important for us? We understand that we put different efforts in life because we have different selfishness levels. Now, the level of your selfishness matters. Now, the morality of this selfishness is questioned in this element. One, we are trying to bring the scenario of a trader and the scenario of a thief. All these are selfish people, right? Yes, they are selfish because a thief also wants the good treasures for themselves. Even a trader or a businessman wants the good treasures for him or herself. But now, the transaction or the mode of exchange is what we question here, and we try to judge which one should we uphold. With a businessman, what a businessman does, they realize their comparative advantage or what they can create value around, and they exchange it for one's value. And that is exchange of value for value. And that is trade, and that is win. That is fulfilling his selfishness by giving what he has or he values less for what he values more to come in his life. That's one, that's a businessman. Then we have a thief who, one, does not actually give anything to the other party but steals. Now that is the immoral element that we actually could say that's evil. But the other exchange, which is capitalism, free market capitalism, is totally righteous. It's totally good and right. And that's why we do so much encourage selfishness. Because it's that vacuum, that void that exists in you. And it keeps growing in levels. As a matter of fact I can be living today and I know, okay, my only aspirations are to get what to eat. When I reach a level of getting what to eat, another drive comes in. I keep getting more selfish and more selfish. And I'll not sleep. I'll keep working harder, create more of the value that I can create around myself to exchange and keep growing higher. Now that is the understanding of selfishness. Though the moral way of trying to package it, most people want to call it fulfillment. It's okay whatever you do it, but objectivism wants to be that radical and tells you it's selfishness and it has to be appreciated as something good. Then let's look at this understanding of rational thinking and reasoning. Because we do understand that we live in a world that's so much dictated by the comment sections. We live in a world that everyone wants to have a contribution to you. Society wants to have a contribution to you. But now how objectivism comes to actually shape you over is it appreciates rational thinking. That you give reason first, and then again, rational thinking is you put yourself first. You prioritize yourself in whatever the decisions you're going to make. You don't make a decision just to impress the other. No, you prioritize yourself first at the expense of whom are you doing this? It has to be at your benefit, not at the expense. Okay? And as you're living at a beneficial age, that is absolutely benefiting in life. And then again, objectivism tries to encourage us to understand that you only rely on matters, actually that do what? On things that matter to you. What doesn't matter to you, you pay deaf ear. Why? It's not a mandate. It's not a mandate that you have to cluster and be fit in society. Okay? But we do exist in society. But it's not a must that you have to cluster, press yourself into. Matter, fix your life. by fixing your life, it will enable in fixing other people's life. What understanding comes here? When in an attempt to fix my life, chances are high I will do so by exchanging the value that I have for the value that others have. And when that one is happening, change is happening. Okay? Now, this brings me actually, as we're trying to wrap it down, the important things of objectivism and how it helps us achieve in life. We talked of the market structure. That's the free market capitalism. That's very good. It tries to motivate, innovation, creativity. It tries to embrace competition, and that is so good for change in society and change in self. And then again, we talked about rights. Now, with the rights, we dug down. Besides, we have a lot that has to do with rights. Okay, that is why objectivism believes government should do. A limited government should actually be there to uphold these rights, to ensure that if I enter into a trade contract with someone, that contract should be legally binding, and there should be an entity that takes hold of this legal fragment we have entered into. And that is the angle at which objectivism tries to appreciate the state or the government, a limited government about. Now, when this right comes in helping us achieve life goals, I try to make it clear that anytime a legal backup comes on any entity or any project or any service you're doing, it comes with a reflection of value. And when value is created, your price goes high. A case in point is, let's say most of the businesses are protected. They'll attract investment. When they attract investment, money comes into the pool. And when money comes into the pool, lives are changed. Now, this is the entire science of the rights, okay? It has more, it spells more from just the human rights. It even goes to having these rights to ownership, rights to the patents, all that as it is. It comes around and tries to boost us. Now, we come to this final understanding that yes, we live in a social structure, and we have to be conscious that we live in a society. But we have to be intentional that we make it alone. Any attempt of making any ends meet in life are individual attempts. We cannot try to throw our burdens over the other. We cannot think because the government is not performing well, even I as an individual, I should not perform well. Or we should not think we can settle for a blame structure simply because matters are in an imbalanced equilibrium. This informs us to live intentionally. This informs us to live with reason. We need to have a reason for everything we do. This collective, this bandwagon, a masterpiece that at times we normally want to put up, ends up taking us to a structure where we think we are safer in crowds and actually more vulnerable as individuals. Now, objectivism comes to this understanding to let us believe, in fact, you're strong as an individual. And you're stronger when you exchange with other people. Get me right. You are strong as an individual. And you're stronger when you exchange with other people. What does that mean? You are stronger on building your own value as an individual. Okay? And then you grow stronger by exchanging that value with others. Now, exchanging this value with others is trade. And trade comes with improvement and, that oscillation and growth and achievement. And when this is happening, life is changing. And when life goals are being attained, that is assumed to be, a paradigm, or we try to let it appear a paradise of achieving life goals. Thanks very much for following in this sharing, and we look forward to a lot of interactions in the John Galt School, and still, we are so thankful to the Ayn Rand Center of Europe in collaboration with Action for Liberty and Economic Development, trying to narrow down these life-provoking and changing, concepts to our lives. Because at the end of it all, bettering society is the bigger goal and the bigger picture. Thanks very much. Enjoy yourself.